right, everyone, we're ready back there. All right, Coach, give up and comment, and then be available for your questions.
Okay, you got it. Hey, man, we're right back at this. Man, this is a game around here and down the road, man, that gets looked at every year. Obviously, 100 miles of hate. Um, this football game, man, features two teams on opposite ends, but um, when you look at this, man, for us, man, we want the record to go out the window. We want to be able to play our best ball, and I think that's exactly what we have to do. I just look at where we are right now, and uh, just after spending time with our team, I know this much. Focus and fundamentals are definitely the catalyst for what we have to do to be able to play well in this ball game. That's what we're focused on right now. Um, we have to make sure, man, that the level of intensity and the level of execution matches uh, the intensity and hunger of this ball game. And man, we have a great opponent in Western Kentucky coming in, or as we head there. I look at like their football team and where they're at right now, offensively. They've got weapons. Rodney Tisdale Jr. is playing extremely well. Um, he's he's got that offense clipping at a pretty high rate. Uh, they've got running backs, they've got receivers. They're actually a pretty talented group all the way around. I mean, when you look at their production, whether you're talking about Henry, Hutchinson, or Barry, at the receiver position, those guys can flat out play. And then, that three-headed monster at running back is actually really good. So, they've got balance to what they do, and we have to meet balance with physicality because they are pretty good in the run game. Um, when you look at who they are defensively, they're a group that's structured in 3-4 structure, but go to 3-3-5 when they play their nickel package, and they've done a good job of pressuring and getting folks off the field. They're good up front. Zero is a home wrecker. I mean, when you see him play inside, he does a really good job with tackles for loss, and he's been good at the line of scrimmage. When you look at their inside backers, two leading tacklers, man, they do a really good job. That's Webster and Breckenridge. Both of those guys, man, have been productive for them, and their outside backers in the 3-4 structure do a really good job pressuring and getting sacks. So we understand who they are and what these guys are going to be. Man, we've been able to dig into the film over the last 24 hours and really understand how we need to be able to structure ourselves in base downs. We'll get to nickel downs here shortly over the next 24 hours, but it's going to be a good ball game for us. We know we got to play physical. We know we got to play fast. And we got to score points against a really good team at home. So excited about the contest. I'll open it up for questions.
Coach, in a heated rivalry game like this, how do you ensure that your players keep the main thing instead of focusing on the rivalry aspect of things?
You know what? Right now, that we just got to focus on playing good football, right? And that's down in, down out. I'm not so worried about like the rivalry. I'll talk about it as we go through the week, so guys understand the history, okay, and have some recognition of it. But we have to focus more on execution. All right, and like I said, focus on the fundamentals, focus on the execution, and that's where the game's going to be, man, played, won or lost.
You mentioned in your opening statement, but Western Kentucky's got a dynamic offense led by that wide receiver core. How do you stop a unit like that that's been so productive all year long?
Well, you got to find a way to get them the third down, get them off the field, right? And I think, when you look at what they've done, they've had some tough games too. Like when you look at FIU, when you look at a close La Tech game, everybody's trying to figure it out. Okay, they've got it figured out more than most. When you look at their offensive production, but we got to figure out again how to stop like the run because they've got a good enough group with run and pass, and that's the one thing about Western Kentucky and what Coach Helton has built there. Man, he's done a really good job of being balanced run and pass, and when you do that, man, that can be a little off-putting. So, man, you got to figure out, how to get them behind the chains a little bit, how to get them off track, and then how do you take the ball away, okay, and play well on special teams.
When you had a chance to, go deeper into what happened on Saturday and to move forward, and you talked about intensity and execution, was that an issue later in the game, and how do you move forward from that?
Well, I mean, I look later in the game, at that. And that game took me back to Wisconsin a little bit. You know, you're playing well, and then you know you go 6 minutes with a lapse in focus and fundamentals, and that's how it gets away from you. I mean that's happened to us before, so I've seen it, right? But I thought this team did a good job of resetting and getting back to the middle, you know, after that, and that's what this team's got to do. I mean, you look at it, you got to take it for what it is. We didn't play our best ball. We turned the ball over. We had young mistakes, man. We're playing a fair amount of young players like in there as well, and I think for us, you know, what we have to do, man, is not overreact because everybody else may. What we got to do, man, again, is just point out, you know, what really happened. There was a 6 minute stretch of bad ball. Man, that sort of got away from us. And with that being said, we're going to have to play this game possession by possession. We got to be smart, you know, in the margins, and we got to do a really good job when we have opportunities, you know, of scoring. Putting points up, and I'm talking about explosive points. I said it a little bit last week, but you know it was good to see Cam Lacey late in the ball game get an explosive play because we hadn't hit one like in a minute, right? We've got guys, man, who can make some dynamic plays, man. We got to hit those plays when they're open. You know, guys are running open, man. We got to hit them because now, man, you put a defense back on its heels, and I think that's part of it. Our focus, you know, from minute to minute, you know, like in game situations, can wane at times, and that's problematic. But you know, again, working on the chemistry, got to get it right.
Coach, obviously Western Kentucky's never been afraid to pass the ball, has had great quarterbacks. And you look at Maverick McIver this year, transferred up to the FBS level. What makes him stick out from some of the previous guys that they've had under center or in the gun, I guess, for them?
Yeah, you know, I don't know if it's going to be Maverick, right? I think it's going to be Tisdale. I mean, if we're being honest, but you know, I think Maverick has shown that he can play from the pocket. You know, he's a big quarterback, man, who's got you know, good accuracy, man. He knows how to go through a read progression. He's with his offensive coordinator that was at Abilene Christian, right? So for him, he's familiar with who's coaching him. So I think that's really important because between a coordinator and a quarterback, you know, you got to be succinct and on the same page. And I think having been familiar with the system, okay, and the offense that they run, I think for him, he had an advantage. But what you see with Tisdale, you know, Junior looks a little different because, you know, as a dual threat quarterback, his ability, you know, when it shows up, he can extend plays, right? He makes the pocket, you know, a little wider, a little. It has a little more depth to it, man. He can step up, man. He can continue to keep his eyes down the field, and I think that's why you see his completion percentage and his numbers like skyrocket. I mean, his numbers are pretty good, right? You know, for somebody who's only played a couple of consecutive games. So I think they've always done a really good job of developing quarterbacks at Western Kentucky, right? So that's part of what they do, man. We need to make it part of who we become.
And Coach, kind of just looking at the series, dropping 9 of the last 10, what would a win this year mean for the program?
You know, it come at the right time. It needs to come at the right time. I mean, like for me, I've been involved in rivalries before. It took a while before the breakthrough, but when it came in a couple of bunches. And again, I think you can't worry about the record. I think what you got to worry about is how you attack this game. We have to attack this game better, right? I mean, it's needed now, and I think our guys are sort of primed for that a little bit. I think, you know, I mean, you come off a game like this where it's a little disappointing, but I saw some things protection-wise, you know, for the quarterback in this ball game that we did better. I think we got to run the ball better, obviously, and I think those guys want to run the ball. You know, we have to. Again, just tag into this identity a little bit. We have to be a little more succinct with what we're doing to give our offensive line some chances, right? We didn't give those guys enough chances, like in my opinion, and I think we go as they go. So I'm gonna lean on those guys a little bit. I think those guys got to get us up to speed and give us a chance because we can't run the ball for 33 yards. That's not what they want. That's not what we want, and that's not who those guys are. So let's get ready to go.
Coach, as you mentioned, you guys have played a good amount of younger guys this year.
Yeah.
How have you seen those guys develop and learn from their mistakes throughout the year?
Young guys, I've said it to you before, right? Young guys become old guys. I mean, you get a chance to see, a guy like Landon Collins go out there and make, like, contested catches. And, we're going to play the guys that can make plays. You're starting to see guys like Chris Noble, take the field and play, extremely valuable snaps. He's had 2 consecutive starts, and I think he's played solid, like, as a young guy in this, right? What you have to do is make it, or what we have to do is make it more about who's going to give us the best opportunity, and not who seems to be the most talented. Right now, we're at a point where when you're looking at production and you want productive guys, and the guys that show up in practice are the guys that are going to show up in games. So to me, that's been a good lesson for us over the last couple of weeks. So as I'm looking at some of these guys, I mean, you can look at Corey Smith a year ago and how valuable those snaps were. I mean, you can look at Zion, Simpson Smith, and look at how valuable those snaps were a year ago and where he is in this process. But I'm just starting to see some of these young guys, even a DJ Taylor. I know he fumbled on Saturday, and that's okay because he's going to make more plays in a Blue Raider uniform that people will remember than those 2 fumbles, right? So I'm just looking at it from a totally different perspective. And you can look at Gale, Alex Gale, getting snaps and making 2 consecutive starts. You can look at Otto. I think the revolution is now started, right? And what we got to do, man, is make sure that we put veterans, young guys together so that we can sort of weave this tapestry and give us a chance to play some consistent ball.
Speaking of those young guys, it was the longest stretch that Roman has gotten to play since he's been here, and he seemed to get more comfortable every snap.
Yeah. Roman's talented. I think he's definitely going to be, a future dynamic player for us here. I like what I saw from Roman. I like the way he competed. It was good. So we just have to continue to keep getting better. I think the good thing is the ability to be able to challenge ourselves in practice. Roman challenges Nick in practice. And I think that's become the most important piece. I see him staying after practice. I see Stanley staying after practice because those guys know that they're only one play away from playing, right? And right now, we need as much challenging going on as we can get.
Anything else, Coach?
Appreciate you. Thank you. Take care.
Let's go, Blue.
Buck, talk a little bit about just how you guys look at the Western Kentucky game, because your ears aren't closed. You hear people around here talk about the rivalry and getting ready for that. What is it in your mind?
Yes, sir. It's just another great opportunity, to leave our mark with these last 3 games of the season. Obviously we're not where we want to be, but, it's another great opportunity to display what we came to do as a defense this year. Ups and downs, ebbs and flows, that's part of the season, but, it's just another great Saturday to go out there, have fun, and, play in a great rivalry game.
Coach talked about that 6-minute stretch in the game the other night. How do you guys move past that and also ensure that you don't have one of those?
Yeah, you dissect it, you look at it, obviously not the standard that we lived up to as a defense, but, you just live and learn from it. And, obviously you don't want to put that stuff on tape because, it just looks like a sign of weakness. But, we addressed it, and that was just a chance for us to move on and get prepared for Western Kentucky.
Brandon, the D-line, front 7 has just been one of the strengths of the team this year. How do you guys hope to bring that momentum forward against this strong Western Kentucky offense?
Just taking it one day at a time, and, it all starts in practice. Just that team chemistry that we have with each other, Ant Bynum, DeMonte Smith, a lot of young guys like Coach Mason mentioned, they came a long way. So, just gelling together and just trusting. It's just the speed of trust with one another.
We good? All right,
Cool.
thanks,
Yep.
appreciate it.
Ellis, obviously not the season you guys have envisioned so far, but how big would a win over Western Kentucky be in terms of building some confidence and momentum for the rest of the year?
I think it'll be huge. Like Coach Mason said, I think it's about time, And so I know it's a rivalry and all that stuff, but I think for us right now, we're just worried about us playing well. That's the biggest thing for us. It's really not about MT versus WKU. It's really MT versus MT. So that's the biggest thing.
Coach Grayson kind of touched on it, but running the ball was kind of an issue on Saturday.
Mhm.
You as an offensive lineman, what do you think went wrong on Saturday, and how do you fix that going forward?
I mean, if I want to be selfish, it's just about us. Like, we just got to be more consistent as an O-line. We got 2 young guards playing right now, and I think me and Mateo and Jacob Otts right now, we're just trying to focus on our communication, right? And that'll make everything easier for the whole group. And so I know I've talked to the older guys about our communication and trying to switch some things up for what we need to do to get these young guys to just be able to play fast and stop thinking. Because, you know what I mean? Like, I was in their position once. My first year, I was playing by older guys, and they helped me out just, you know what I mean, with communication to where I can just go. You know what I mean? As a young guy, worst thing for a young guy to do at O-line is think too much. You don't play fast. So these young guys can play fast. They can do a lot of great things, so we just got to help them out when times get tough, really.
One of the things that kind of got lost in Saturday was you guys scored the most points you've scored all year with 30. And you did that in a week of transition. And talk about how you guys as a unit in the offensive line room handled the changes that went on and got to Saturday.
It's tough, right? But the biggest thing that I say is just we got to stay together. And that's what we've been doing ever since the summer camp, through the season. The O-line, we're the closest group on the team. These are some of my best friends, and this is the closest group I've ever played with my whole career. And so as it being tough, I saw these guys really put their heads down and get to work and stay positive, you know.
I'll give you a softball one here because I know that one is tough, and that was an emotional question. But it was 70 degrees on Saturday. What was it like rolling out there for practice this morning?
Oh, my goodness. We had practice this morning, but just coming in to the building today is awful. You see me with the big jacket and stuff like that, but it's like it got cold overnight, you know? Like, I didn't expect that, but it's fine. It comes with the territory. I've been in Tennessee for a long time now, so it's expected.
It's supposed to be 74 Saturday.
So that's good. That's good. All right.
Anything else, fellas? All right, guys, thank you.
Good deal.
Thanks, fellas.
Thank you.